take a look. Oh, okay. I'd like to welcome Alice once again. Yeah, thank you, Alice, for coming by. Yeah, you've been very, very good to us. Thank you for all your support. And thank you, Ed, for coming in. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Alvin. Andrew, thank you for coming back once again. Yeah, and thank you, Daniel. Yeah, Daniel, you are here. And thank you. Yeah, although I couldn't meet you face to face this time, you know, it's still good to see you over the screen. Yeah, so thank you for coming by. Yeah, and thank you for that beautiful wallpaper at the back. Okay, and yeah, I don't know whose iPad anonymous, maybe from Apple. Just looking at our session today. Oh, that's very good. Yeah, and thank you, JP. Thank you, JP, for coming in. Thank you, Justin. And we have a lot of friends also from Africa. Yeah. This time, and welcome you guys all the way from Africa. Please say hi so that we know you're here. And thank you, Zena, for coming back once again too. Oh, so we have quite a lot of regular friends back on this session. Okay, yeah. So thank you. And as you guys know, that this is basically a regular session. So let's get formally started. Okay, and let me first introduce the webinar to you guys so that you know what this is about. Okay, so I just like to welcome everyone for tuning in today. Okay, my name is Julian, for those who don't know me, and I'm from Topliners Club, a licensed boutique agency here in Singapore, travel agency. Yeah, so together with me is Ming Wei, and we are your hosts tonight. Okay, so but not forgetting we have our guest speaker for the series with us too. So please allow me to introduce Nikki Demula. So Nikki is basically our working partners in Southern Africa. And Nikki is a South African and is based in Cape Town, okay? And she runs African Spiral, which is regarded as one of the most personalized travel agencies there. Yeah. So today, we are actually hosting our third webinar of a series of topics on South Africa. So we are covering South Africa as a start, and then gradually covering more countries and area over the African continent. So for each of this session, actually, we are trying to keep them between half an hour to 1 hour. So far, we have been able to do that, and we intend to continue to do that, okay? Yeah, so that everyone will not get so fatigued over too many webinars over the internet, yeah. So if you have any questions, please key in your questions into the chat box, and we will actually answer this as we go along or towards the end or at the end of the workshop, actually, okay? So note that the next session will be on the 10th of August, at this same time, 8:30 p.m., okay, Singapore time. So we'll be chatting about self-driving in South Africa, self-drive, okay? And what you can actually see along the way. So do look out for the invites for this, yeah. Now, before I pass the time over to Nikki, I actually have an announcement to make today, okay? So kindly lend me your ears for this, okay? So what happened is that in support and also doing our part for conservation, we have actually booked a virtual safari with &Beyond, which is actually one of the luxury safari outfit in Africa. And with this, we are actually giving this exclusive private virtual safari experience, okay, worth $250 to 2 of our participants from this series. Unfortunately, we can't open to everyone at this moment because this is actually a very limited slot given to start this private virtual safari experience. So we can only actually select 2 of the lucky winners from here. Okay, so what happened is that you will get to be guided by one of the best safari guides on the planet. Okay, and you are actually welcome to ask him any questions then if you are in the session. Okay, so the only thing you need to do, so this is the part where you have to take note. Okay, the only thing you need to do is actually to attend 5 or more of these Africa webinars that we have by early September. Okay, so if you have attended today, that's considered 1. And you have actually attended before, okay, that's also counted, all right? Yeah, so as long as you have been here, we count it as 1, okay? So after which, you will actually be automatically enrolled into a raffle draw, okay? So with the raffle draw, we will actually pick 2 lucky winners by early September, and then you'll be notified by email, Yeah, so it's actually our little way to thank you for joining us in our webinars. So do look out for more of these as we go along, and we hope that you enjoy these sessions, okay? Yeah, so with this, let me pass the time over to Nikki for her presentation. Nikki, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian.
Thank
It's
you,
great
Nikki.
to meet everybody again today, and thanks for everyone who's been here throughout the last two as well. So for your number 3, I'm going to just share my screen with you quickly. Right, there we go. So just to go through the last two, we spoke a little bit about South Africa and the different regions of South Africa, and last week we spoke quite a bit about the different national parks. And I'm sure that I probably left everybody feeling quite overwhelmed last week in terms of that we have got so many national parks and so many incredible lodges to choose from. We spoke about some options in the variety of different options, ranging from your more basic options within Kruger National Park up to your sort of more luxurious options in and around various different national parks around South Africa. So today I thought that we would chat a little bit more and try and narrow it down from you so that you're not left with a total feeling of overwhelm. We chat a little bit more about how one would go about selecting the right lodge for you. So I'm basically, Julian and I are going to discuss a couple of different questions and things which you should be considering when you go about selecting a lodge for yourselves to travel to. So one of the things that I'm going to just start off with is traveling with families. So families going on safari and multi-generational travel is definitely on the rise. We're seeing a large amount of families coming out with young children, as well as, like I said, multi-generational grandparents and sort of teenage kids coming through. And I think this is, you know, if you're doing this, then there's a couple of things that one would look out for when you're traveling on safari. The one thing, obviously, that I regularly get asked is malaria. And I would say if you're traveling with young children, it's probably something that you might want to avoid. But as we mentioned last week, really only the greater Kruger area is an area that has got a low risk malaria area. There are so many other game reserves in and around South Africa where you can travel to where malaria is not an issue at all. And last week we spoke a little bit about the Madikwe Reserve. We spoke about the Welgevonden Reserve. And of course, the reserves in the Eastern Cape, which is a fantastic extension to the garden route if you're traveling with children. So that would be one thing that we would take into consideration. And then traveling with children, especially if you've got young children, a lot of the lodges out there really specialize in traveling with kids. And when I say that, you know, I always make a differential between, yes, we accept children, and we really specialize in children. And some of those ones that really specialize in entertaining children have specific kiddies clubs and activities planned with the sort of professional child carers. So, you know, they take your kids. I think really bringing your family on a safari is taking them on an incredible adventure. They give them a small backpack. There's a lot of training in terms of just bush training that the kids go through, which is amazing. It's a real learning experience for them. They teach them to track spoor, they teach them to identify different animal dung. And then of course they've got sort of like, for example, at Sabi Sabi Bush Lodge, you've got the Elifant Center where they do arts and crafts with them. They do beading, they do printing on t-shirts. They teach them about the bush, they teach them about conservation and about recycling. It really is the most phenomenal experience to offer your children. And obviously, if you are traveling with kids, we would look specifically at the lodges that offer this type of experience. So then I think, again, last week we spoke about there's such an incredible variety of lodges out there. And I think one of the things that you need to distinguish for yourselves is what type of experience that you're looking for. So these vary from a very much more authentic, rustic type of experience up to super luxury in the bush. So looking at sort of your more authentic bush options, some people are really wanting these days, especially to experience more of a camping type style in the bushveld. And there's lots of different options for this. You can go even into Kruger itself. You can go, we use a company that we've been using for years, African Safari Adventures. Tracy, I know you're on this call. And they do amazing trips where they take you into the Krugerrest camps, set up the most amazing camps for you, and take you out on safari, do all the cooking for you, and you really are camping under the starlight and, you know, doing traditional braais at night. It's fantastic. The one that you see down, for example, here on this bottom is Honey Guide in the Manyeleti. And you can see here, these are what I would say glamping. They are really very large, not what we would sort of remember as I went camping in the bush when I was sort of a young child and crawled in on my hands and knees into the tent. We're not looking like that at all. These are super large tents with ensuite bathroom facilities, with hot water. And it's really your more tented type camp in the bush. So there's quite a few options. There's lots of different reserves that offer a tented experience in the bush, which a lot of people are looking for. And then you go right up to your more very luxurious lodges in the bush. So just again, the difference between what a luxury lodge in the bush is going to offer as opposed to your more rustic sort of traditional bush experience. The luxury lodges have got private plunge pools, indoor, outdoor showers. They've got spas, they've got gyms, they've got large decks. You can see just looking at these top two pictures up here, Jamala, Madikwe and Dulini, the size of the suites. It's a very different experience from your more basic your more basic camping experience in the bush. So again, let's look at just breaking these down and looking at the luxury lodges and just breaking down exactly what each of them has to offer. So for example, the private plunge pools. Now, a lot of the lodges have got swimming pools. Most of them have got some form of pool. Those pools will either be on the main deck area, or you can have a private plunge pool. I would say if you're traveling in the summer months, it's really a nice thing to have a private plunge pool. Last week we spoke a little bit, and maybe I'll just re-emphasize that. We looked at a typical day in a game lodge. And your typical day, specifically in summer months, you're going to wake up sort of 5 in the morning is your wake up call. You're going to have tea, coffee, and maybe a little snack before you go out on the game vehicle. And then you're going to head out into the bush at around 5:45 in the morning. The whole idea here is to get out early in the morning when the game is moving, and when the cats are hunting, and you want to see them before it gets too hot. So in the summer months, the temperatures can really rise to between sort of anything between 30-35 degrees, and you'll be back in camp by breakfast time, which is around 9ish, and you then have an amazing long day to just spend at camp. Sometimes you can go on a walking safari. You may just want to relax in your room, sit in the plunge pool, read a book before lunch is served, and then you basically convene again at around 4 o'clock for your afternoon teas and coffees before heading out for your evening game drive. Again, you want to get out into the bush as it starts getting a little bit cooler, and when the game starts moving around again. So I would definitely say if you're traveling in the summer months, a private plunge pool is absolutely fantastic. You do have quite a bit of time between your morning and evening game drives, and it's great to be able to just relax in the pool. Again, privacy issues is another thing that comes up here to mind. So some of the lodges, the rooms are a lot more spaced out, and you know, if for people who are looking for a little bit more privacy, you might want to take that into consideration, as opposed to some of them where the rooms are a little bit closer together. So for honeymooners, and families who really just wanting to get away and not necessarily sit with a couple of people on the main deck, then that would be another thing that we would be looking at. And then obviously things like fencing. So some of the lodges have got fencing around the camps, and other lodges have no fencing. Now, this is again just a question that I generally ask people, because some people really love the idea that the game is really walking right through camp. And it really truly is an amazing experience when you have the elephants and everybody, you know, all the animals walking sort of through. It does mean that in the evenings, your ranger walks you from the main dining area. Your ranger will walk you after dinner through to your room. And early in the mornings as well, your ranger will come through to the room and collect you before going out on your morning game drive, just to ensure your safety. So that is just another thing that we also look at. And then, of course, you have, for example, bathroom facilities here. You can just see in these bottom two pictures in the more luxury lodges, you obviously have indoor showers, outdoor showers. For those of you who haven't had a wonderful shower out under the African skies in the bushveld, it really and truly is part of the experience and an absolute must do. Then, of course, we were looking at the luxury lodges offer amazing spa facilities. Some of them have got yoga rooms now where you can do yoga, and incredible gyms for those people. Those of you who really are still insistent on doing your gym in the bush, some of these lodges do have an amazing gym with a wonderful outlook onto nature. And then just the other thing which we spoke also a little bit about last week was the cuisine in the lodges. So this is going to vary very much from, in your more basic or in your sort of more rustic, authentic type safari experiences, it's going to revolve very much around your typical sort of barbecue bush dinners, which will then be served sort of as a buffet. Some of them then have sort of a set 3-course dinner or lunches, which will be served outside under the stars, which is amazing. And then your more luxurious lodges will have some of them will have a full menu, and obviously offer a more fine dining type of experience with food and wine pairings and incredible wine cellars with some of our best wines on offer. And again, you know, some of the lodges include all of your food, all of your wines, and mini bars, etc., in the rates, whereas others will just be a dinner, include your 3 basic meals without drinks included. So this is just another thing to look at, whether you're wanting to include all of your drinks in your package or not. Yes, Julian.
Nikki, what happens if we have friends who want to get on safari and they are vegan?
That is not a problem.
Right.
The lodges are incredible at catering to dietary requirements these days. I think, you know, travelers are becoming a lot more, you know, they're needing a lot more attention in terms of their dietary requirements. And there's so many vegans and vegetarians and gluten intolerance and, you know, dairy intolerant, etc. There's just so many people these days that are traveling with dietary requirements that one can't possibly avoid them. So that is absolutely no problem at all. As long as we know in advance, we always just, that is part of one of the questions that we ask, we always just request that people tell us dietary requirements in advance so that we can let the lodges know. Right. As you can imagine, they are, you know, they don't have a shopping mall right next door to quickly go and buy things. So we just need to let them know in advance, but they really do cater incredibly well.
Yeah, you know, Nikki, I guess this fact will be that a lot of our friends who have gone on safari will agree with me. You know, I literally hate to get on safari in that sense. You know why? Because every time when I get on a safari, I come back 10 kilos heavier. You know, yeah, because of all the good food, you know, and the wine and everything that you get on safari. That's really a lot, you know. And they serve such nice fine cuisine. So some of the places that I've been, like Londolozi, you know, I couldn't decide what to eat. So they say, oh, you have option 1, 2, and 3, you know, and they say, okay, why not we serve you everything, you know, and they come with like sampler size of everything, and it actually add up too much. Yeah, so one of the thing about going on safari, guys, is that you will actually get to enjoy very good food. Okay, so it's not really about eating dog biscuits, you know, anything like that, or just having water and nothing else. You actually have very good cuisine available on safari. Yeah. Okay, back to you, Nikki.
It is incredible, Julian, and I
Yeah.
feel exactly the same. You know, one comes back and you sort of seem to roll from one meal into the next meal. You know, you always come back thinking, gosh, how's it possible that I ate so much while I was out in the bushveld? But it is like that. And the food is always absolutely delicious, actually, whether you are looking at just sort of having a regular, we call it a braai in South Africa, a real, you know, regular barbecue in the bush, right up to, you know, more fine dining experience. The food is always absolutely exceptional.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I like to point out that it's actually a very easy trip, because it literally doesn't take anything out of you physically. You no need to really do a lot of walking if you don't want to get on a walking safari. So you are technically just sitting in the vehicle, going around doing spotting wildlife, you know, and taking pictures. So you don't really exercise a lot, and then it's very kind of like it's good for people who just want to spend that easy time on holiday, you know, and you can still get really enriched mentally and virtually, you know, of the things that you're going to see and experience. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think let's just get more onto what people are really looking for now. And you come on safari really to like you were saying, you know, to have that incredible immersive experience into the bush. And you know, I think like we were saying, we were talking about this in our first webinar. I think just, you know, for me, it's like a soul experience. It's just the peace, the tranquility. It's really is the most incredible experience. And so again, looking at the different experiences that are offered in the bush, some of the lodges really specialize in walking safaris. And some of the lodges you can do sort of you can do a breakaway and sort of do a 2 or 3 day walking safari, and then go and do your sort of mainstream or your 4x4 game vehicle safaris. I think just a couple of other little factors on the safari, for example, differentiating between your more authentic, more rustic type bush experience as opposed to your more luxury experience. Some of the, you know, is the number of people allowed on the vehicles. So, you know, some of the more luxury lodges only, you know, you're getting sort of maybe maximum 6 people on a vehicle. And you know, the most incredible vehicles, really well kitted out, incredible rangers, incredible trackers. These guys are just so incredibly knowledgeable, and they bring, you know, they just make everything just come alive for you. And I mean, one of the things that I just love about the walking safaris is how you cannot imagine how interesting, you know, they can talk for 15 minutes about the termite mounds, you know, about the medicinal qualities of the plants, and, you know, about the, you know, the dung beetles. And it's just incredible how the bushveld just comes alive. It just is absolutely amazing. You know, then you've got your birders who, I mean, this is just for those people who are interested in birding, you cannot imagine the diversity and the, you know, the incredible number of species that you find here in South Africa. So, and right throughout Southern Africa, it really and truly is amazing. And just looking here at this picture here on the bottom left, I must say that one of my most favorite things in the bush is just those, you know, stopping in the evenings you get off the vehicle and you stop for sundowner drinks, and just the quiet, you know, as you're watching the sun set down over the horizon with a glass of wine or a gin and tonic in your hand, and the most incredible snacks that are always spread out, and you just the peace and tranquility is just absolutely incredible. It's an absolute must-do experience. Right, then I know you've got people really interested in photography, Julian, in this group. So I just wanted to point out a couple of the lodges, that's really specialized in photography and the photographic hides. I think, Julian, you said you were supposed to be here right now, weren't you? About now on a photographic hide.
Yeah, in Madikwe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait until our borders are open. But
Yes.
certainly, photographic hides is becoming quite a popular thing, and there's a couple of lodges that really have specialized in these. You can see in this top right-hand picture, this is at Jackie's, which is in Madikwe. And you can see how they build these hides sort of at the level, at ground level, so that you really are taking photographs at ground level, at face sort of level with the wildlife as it comes down to drink. This is Mondoro. We spoke a little bit about this last week. They've also got the most incredible hide. Here you can see you walk down through a tunnel from the lodge down to the hide. And again, just gives you the most incredible opportunity here. The nice thing about this is it's linked to the lodge. So you can walk down at any time of the day or night quite safely and just go and sit in the hide and watching the animals come down to drink. It's a wonderful way of viewing the wildlife. You don't even have to get into a game vehicle or go anywhere. This one is in Mashatu, which is actually just in Botswana, just over the South African border. Another lodge that really has specialized in photographic safaris. And you can just see how close you get here to the game. They are sort of completely unaware of the fact that you are there. And it just brings you, I mean, the photographs that you can take are just absolutely incredible. And here you can see, some of the equipment that some of these hides have got. Some of them really do have some, quite fancy equipment in them, really specializing in offering an opportunity for photographers to come through. So that is really something that is really on offer at many of the lodges now, and something incredible. And then I think just lastly, one of the things that I want to chat about, which again is just such an incredible experience and started off, with a couple of years, a good couple of years ago, was just one or two of them, and it now seems to be springing up, is this whole idea of a sleep out deck or tree houses. So quite a few lodges now are offering the opportunity to go and do one night in a sleep out deck or tree house, or star beds, some of them call them. Is a variety of different names. And essentially how this works is, if you were, for example, let's take a look at this one down on my bottom right hand of my screen here. That's Lion Sands Chalkley Treehouse. They offer, the Lion Sands or the Moore Group offer, most of their lodges, they offer tree houses. This is the most incredible experience. So how it would normally work is if you were booked in for 3 nights, let's say at Lion Sands River Lodge, for example, you would book this as the 1 night option for some time during your stay. So normally at approximately sort of 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll do your game, or you'll head out on your game drive, and then they'll drop you off here at the treehouse on your own, just you and whoever you're staying with your dinner and your drinks and a radio to ensure that you can communicate at all times with the main lodge and with the rangers. And that's where you sleep for the night. It is just incredible. So you literally are underneath the stars, completely on your own in the middle of the bush. It's completely safe. All of them are built so that it's completely safe. But it really and truly is adventure. It's a complete adventure to just get out and be underneath the stars on your own in the bushveld, not for the faint-hearted. It is incredible how, you know, when you hear the lion roar, for example, it could be, you know, kilometers away, but it sounds like it's like right underneath you. And just the sounds, a lot of them are overlooking or close by to water holes. So just the sounds of the animals at night is just absolutely amazing. It really is an experience I would highly recommend for people who looking for a little bit more adventure. And this is generally offered as an add-on. So if you were paying for your 3 nights, you would pay an additional to stay here. And the reason for this is because if you had to call back in the middle of the night to say that you wanted to be fetched, or it started raining, for example, then your room at the lodge is always secured for you. So you've got somewhere to go back to if you do decide that you're not comfortable, or that it's raining, or it's for some other reason. So yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, where's the toilet facilities for this one? Do you have to go down to dig a hole, you know, to use?
You have to dig a hole, Julian. Absolutely. No. Each of them has got a bathroom facilities. So, you know, for example, here you don't see it up on the top, but it's just here underneath. I don't know if you can see here. So right. You just go down these stairs, and then there's a bathroom facility there. So they are all completely kitted, very comfortable. You're not going to be uncomfortable at all. It really is completely comfortably done. You know, you'll have the, you know, very nice warm duvets to keep you warm at night. So it's incredible. It's just an absolute incredible experience.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So has anyone got any questions? That's what I'm gonna cover for today, just to allow people to ask some questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, and I think actually just one other thing before we answer some questions, Julian. But so really, what we wanted to chat about today was the kinds of questions you should be asking yourself as to what you really are looking for for a safari experience. Just a couple of other things that we look at is accessibility. So some people are quite happy to be a little bit more off the beaten track. Others don't want to spend 2 hours getting there. And then, of course, the other big thing is the combination of what you're looking to do. So, you know, we look at what your interests are besides the safari and where you're going to combine it with. So if you were, for example, if you wanted to combine it with Cape Town, then I know, for example, there's direct flights from Cape Town into the greater Kruger area. If you're wanting to combine it with Victoria Falls, for example, there's a direct flight from southern Kruger area right up into Victoria Falls. So, you know, if you're wanting to combine it with Eastern Cape or Garden Route, then we would look at the Eastern Cape lodges. And of course, budget is another factor. So that is another big factor that, you know, that obviously we would take into account, and we will always look at designing an itinerary around people's budget.
Sure. Yeah. So I think that the questions are cooking right now, and people are thinking about what to ask you. But while they do, you know, I have compiled an entire list of questions for you, you know, and I'm going to make things difficult for you, Nikki. No, just joking. But I'm sure the questions are also, yeah, those that people will be interested to find out about. Yeah. So by the way, yeah, there's a comment from JP saying that, oh, the treehouse option looks amazing. Yeah, so indeed it is. And it's only limited. So don't expect to go to a lodge and then, you know, there are 16 tree houses, for example. Yeah. You know, yeah. So it's very exclusive. Yeah, but it's really worth that experience. Yeah, very romantic. Yeah. Yes, yeah, it's very romantic. Yeah. So the thing is that, Nikki, how many days do you think that someone should get on a safari, you know, and staying at a safari for a perfect safari experience, you know, because there are people who actually go for like a half-day safari and then they move on to somewhere else, or they just stay one night and then they realize that it's not sufficient. And especially for our friends who's trying to get on a safari at some point of time, I think that it's good we can let them know, say, how many days they should be spending on a safari.
Sure. Julian, my recommendation is always a minimum of 3 nights. I think 3 nights is an absolute ideal. What people don't realize, you know, like if you stay for 3 nights, you've got 2 full days on safari. So a 3-night safari option will generally give you 6 game drives included in that, and 2 full days. So 2 days where you could really just relax a little bit, you know, and take some time out and just really enjoy being in the bush and just immerse yourself in it. I think 100%, you know, I think for people who decide to try and think that they can do it in 1 night, you're going to just be disappointed. You're going to get there and it's going to be a rush, and you're going to check in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, stay 1 night, check out at 10 o'clock the next morning, and really not have given yourself the opportunity to just relax and enjoy where you are. And it comes back to what I keep saying again, you know, South Africa's, it's a very big country, and to me, it's all about experiences. And, you know, you don't want to spend the money and the time to come here and then find that you haven't given yourself the opportunity to really experience what it's about, because you're just rushing from one place to the next. So in my mind, 3 nights minimum stay at a game lodge. What a lot of people also do is they combine different game lodges. So if we did that, for example, what we quite often do is we'll combine a tented experience for 2 or 3 nights with a lodge experience. So it gives me, or we will combine a tented experience where they specialize more in walking safaris with another lodge. And I think that way people get to experience, you know, very different aspects of the bush. So that works really well for people who've got a little bit more time. And then we sort of do sometimes 3 nights and 2 nights. So you've got a 5-night experience in the bush, or 3 nights and 3 nights if people have got the time.
Right, okay.
And it depends on what you're sort of trying to combine. So you can combine different areas and different lodges, different national parks. Quite a nice combination is to combine Kruger area with, for example, flying into Victoria Falls and then spending 3 nights in the bush in Kruger, going to Victoria Falls and then spending 3 nights, for example, in the Chobe region, which is lovely.
Right. I think at some point we'll be talking about how to combine the various places and, you know, into an itinerary, right, Nikki?
Yes.
Yeah. So folks, yeah, just stay tuned to that. We'll be doing that at some point of time, so that, you know, it will give you a better idea of the options that are actually available if you are going on an African safari experience in that sense. Okay. Yeah. So the thing is that at the very start, you were also showing some slides on the tented camp, you know, the one without the permanent walls. Yeah. So, and you have like a very nice big bed in the middle. Yeah. So yeah, thanks, Nikki, for that. Yeah, so the thing is that, okay, just for everybody's information, this tent that you see, like the one in the bottom right, is probably about the size of a quarter size of a basketball court. Yeah, about there.
Yes.
Yeah. So imagine, yeah. So if you are going there with your loved one, and that is actually for 2 persons, and you are staying in a tent that is about the quarter size of a basketball court. So it's really that big. So it's not your normal tent, you know, where you go to the park and you bring that collapsible one. Okay, yeah.
Rolling on your knees. No.
Yeah, so this one comes like, as you can see, with a writing desk. It comes with probably a closet. It comes with the flushing toilet, you know, and everything else at the back. And then you have the poster bed over there. So it's really ultimate luxury in that sense. But the thing is that you see, Nikki, this one doesn't come with permanent wall. So will you get like attacked by lions, you know, or hyenas or anything that will just bash through, you know, the canvas?
No, no, not at all. no, the game are not going to enter the tent unless you leave. You know, no, they won't. They don't come into the camps at all. You know, they're not going to walk into the tent at all.
Right.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, just to share an interesting fact, you know, that I have actually I know some world-renowned conservationists, and some of them are actually in South Africa too. And then when I spoke to them about this, they were saying that it's actually the psychological mind of the animal, and it's probably good information for you guys. When the animal look at a tent like that, it's actually comparing its size versus the tent, and you see that, the tent is really that big, that much bigger than itself. If I'm going to attack the tent, I may get injured or I may get killed, and which is why they don't actually even try to do that in the first place. And I think the other thing is that, once if something like that happen, if unfortunate thing happen, and then the animal gets into the tent, I think at some point they also know among themselves, that they'll be brought down by the ranger, because it's a very dangerous thing to get too close to humans, which is why actually we also recommend people who going on safari not to actually feed the animals, okay, and also not to touch them. Even sometimes they could be coming very close to you, but do not do anything, because these are truly wild animals, and you have to keep your distance. So we have many incidents or many experience actually, where you are on the jeep, okay, and then the lion is actually just beside the jeep, or a leopard just walk past you from the back without you noticing it. Yeah, but then the leopard will turn his head up and look at you, but then generally it's fine. But you can just imagine that fear that we have, where the animal, there's no barrel and things like that, but the animal does not attack you because it knows and that respect of space in that sense. So we actually have a question just now from Ed who asked, over at the height, is it safe, without the glass and things like that, do the animals actually come in? Yeah, so generally they don't, they do not.
Oh,
yeah,
they
because,
don't.
yes.
They don't. They might come very close. They walk past, but they don't come in. They don't come into the heights.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
So
Nikki.
you can feel completely safe, in all of these places. It's really not a problem. And like in the sleep out decks and the tents, etc. There's just no incidents. The bigger problem, and the sort of, as I mentioned earlier, in the open camps, during the daytime it's fine, but the only thing that you would be considerate about would be to walk from the main area where you're going to be eating dinner at night to your tent. You wouldn't walk on your own through an unfenced camp, because the game is walking past and you don't want to bump into a buffalo at night by mistake. So the rangers take you and they escort you to your room. Once you're in your room, you're absolutely fine.
Thanks for that tip, Nikki. Yeah, we have a question also coming in from Justin. Justin asks, what would be your recommendation for a comfortable experience? Okay, I know this is not related to South Africa, but I think it will be something that you can answer too, okay? Yeah, which is for the Great Migration, and which months will be the best to go? Yeah, so we just deviate a bit, whet everyone's appetite. At some point, we'll be talking about East Africa. Yeah, but we will get to that. Yeah, but right now, let's answer this.
Okay, so really just, I'm going to answer, so for the migration, it really depends. The animals move in a constant circular route, all right? So it depends if you're looking where you're going to be. If you're talking about the Masai Mara area, you'd probably be looking at August, September. The animals move across into the northern area, into Kenya. If you're looking at the Serengeti area, like I said, they're moving constantly, in fact. So it depends. The migration is not just something that happens in a certain month, and that's when the migration is. I think most people refer to, when they talk about the migration, I think a lot of people are referring to when the large herds cross the Mara River. That tends to be the sort of video footage that you see out of the migration. And that time of year would be, that would be your August, September time of year. But, what we tend to do is there's a lot of camps in the Serengeti that we call them migration camps. So they tend to move to where the where the animals are, within limits, obviously. But quite a few operators offer migration camps, and then we'll look at what time of year you're wanting to travel, and put you into camps that are where the migration is going to be happening at that time.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I guess to answer your question, I would say, you know, August, September, October is a really great time. But that's not to say that you can't see, you know, migration at other times of the year. So,
Thank you,
yeah.
Nikki. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question, Justine. Basically, what happened is that this wildebeest, okay, or the animals migrate the whole year round, and it's running a full circle, you know, of I think about 3,000 kilometers. Yeah, you know, so it takes the whole year, and it depending on the period of time the animal is at. But then one thing to take note is that it's heavily dependent on the weather, you know, because the wildebeest are actually chasing the rain, okay, trying to see where the rain is and then running towards that direction, because that's where the fresh grasses are just sprouting, and then they feed on that. So I think the iconic part is where that river crossing, but then again, the crossing of the river will be highly dependent on you know, how many wildebeest are actually at the river and whether they dare to cross or not, you know. Yeah, because you could be spending a number of days there, but then the number of sightings may not be that many. So if for those people who's actually looking to go on Great Migration Safari, I would actually recommend that you have to spend, okay, enough time to do it, at least 3 to 5 nights if you can, in the northern part of the Serengeti, yeah, so that you will get dramatically boost your chance to do that. Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think before this, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I was with Daniel, one of our participants here today, you know, and we went up at actually the best time in a way, okay, to see the Great Migration. That is like the National Day holiday for Singapore. So it's like the first week of August, okay, but you know, it was not really a good time that year, because the wildebeest have actually crossed already due to the early rains, you know, and things like that. But sometimes this kind of trips, you cannot be booking it last minute. You have to actually book like a year in advance, and then you plan to go there. So it's really hard to tell the timing, and that part of it, you basically have to depend on God's will, you know. Yeah. So that's what it is.
I think you've absolutely you've got it right there, where you say, you know, again, it's about giving yourself the time, isn't it? You know, it's you know, if you allow one night to go and see the migration, you know, you just can't. You need to give them more. The longer amount of time that you give yourself, you know, you must realize that this is you know, this is true wilderness area that we're in. You know, this is not sort of a click of the fingers and the animals, you know, we call them in, and this is, you know, this is it. This is, we want to see elephant today, so now we're going to see elephant. You know, it is wilderness area. The rangers are incredible, and they do, you know, they have incredible knowledge. So they are generally able to, you know, if you give them at least 2 or 3 days, they generally are able to find most of the game that you wanted to look for, but it's about giving yourself time.
Right. Okay. So similarly, on the questions from our dear friend iPad, he was just asking, where's the best season to go for the safari? Yeah. So I think he's referring to South Africa. You know, it's South Africa per se. When would it be the best season to go?
Okay, so I would say most people in terms of game viewing would consider, in fact, the winter season to be the best season to go game viewing in South Africa. And the reason for that is because the grass is, you know, it's in the northern part of South Africa, the summer season is our rainy season. So the grasses grow longer, there's more water around, the rivers, you know, are fuller, and also it's much hotter. So what lands up happening in the summer season is you do have chances of thunderstorm rain. It's definitely not sort of all day long rain. It'll be in the form of thunder showers, but also it's quite hot. A lot of people find it a little bit too hot. and you need to get out earlier in the morning because the game is generally sleeping during midday. However, having said that, it's an incredible time for birding to come in the summer season, and it's also when all the animals are having their babies. So it's an incredible time to see the babies if you come in the summer. Winter, obviously, the bush is sparser, it's not so green, but the animals are moving more, they're looking for water. It's a great time to be around the water holes because the game come down to find, to find water. And it's probably just a bit easier to spot the game. But so yeah, that, and then also it depends, if you go Eastern Cape, for example, the rainfall is at a different time of the year. So, but I guess if I had to answer your question generally, I would say your best time is any time from around May, June, July, August, September, October. Starts getting hotter from around November, December until about the end of February.
Right. Okay. I mean, personally, for me, my recommended period for people living in Asia, okay, to get to South Africa, I would say is from April to November. So that would be the best time to go. Yeah. So in between, you can do your safari too. Okay. So I like to
avoid your peak seasons as well. That's always great. So July, August tends to be quite busy, quite a busy season. The European market are all traveling during that season. So July, August can be really busy and quite difficult to get into the lodges. So if you can sort of go around that, September, October is great. April, May, really great.
Cool. Okay. Thank you, Nikki. Yeah. And I also like to thank Teresa. Teresa, I think, is one of our African friends who has sent a very detailed information on the Great Migration. Okay, and if everybody refer to the chat, you can actually see that information there. So I thank you very much for sharing that information. Thank you, Teresa. Well done. Yeah, and Daniel was also saying that the peak migration period was over during our trip in August 2017. There you go. Yeah, but he still have many memorable experience. Okay, great. Yeah, so Ming was also in Masai Mara, okay, in early November. I think that was last year or the year before, maybe the year before, Ming. Yeah, and they at that time in early November, the crossing was still happening. Yeah, so when Ming was there, and Ming has actually got very beautiful pictures too of the photography part, in Masai Mara at that point. Yeah. So and Brenda was asking, is there a demographic beside those with mobility issue that you would recommend not visit? Yeah.
Hi, Brenda. No, not really. To me, there's no. I think we've got, we've got such a variety of people that come to South Africa, and there's something for everybody in this country. We definitely have so many different opportunities on offer and so many different experiences on offer that I think there's something really for everyone. I think that's why we're seeing so much multi-generational travel coming through here as well.
Yeah, I think just before anyone travel with some special requests, they could actually let their agent know, and then the agent could work with the ground partners. Like in this case, if you book through Topliners, we will discuss with African Spiral on the special requirements that is needed, and then we will definitely put that in place. So it can even go as detailed as, for example, what's your favorite wine, that you're looking at. Maybe I prefer a half glass orange juice, not a full glass with 2 cubes of ice, that could also be done. Yeah, so as long as we know what are the your preferences, we will be able to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And this is why we really like to work a lot with the smaller boutique properties, because it's all about service and it's all about being able to offer those particular extra things that people are looking for.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I guess to sum up, Nikki, I think to have the perfect safari experience, you will probably need about 3 nights anywhere, but then if you are there for a specific purpose. For example, for photography, you might like to consider places in the Madikwe area with the photographic heights, because just take note that in Kruger, you don't really have that. Okay, and in Kruger, you basically have to stay. If you are visiting the main park, you have to get out by about 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Really depends on the seasons. Yeah, and then the gates will be closed. But if you're in Madikwe, that's more like a private reserve area, and you can actually visit the height and stay there 24/7. Okay, yeah, so even at night, you could be at the height and then waiting for the animals to come by to drink. And there'll be like a spotlight on the water hole so that you can still see the animal as they approach. Yeah, so that's quite good for photography in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
remember, Julian, that it's only if you go into the actual Kruger National Park that got the hours that you need to be aware of. If you obviously if you're in the private reserves around the park, then that's a different. That's completely different.
Yeah, but Nikki, around the private reserves around Kruger, I don't think they have the photographic heights, right? Not that.
I'm just trying to think if any of them have built photographic hides as of yet. I definitely think they're coming, but the majority of the ones, like you say, Madikwe, Valgevonden area, there's quite a few photographic hides. KwaZulu-Natal for the birders, so there's a lot of hides going there.
Yeah, but I'm sure those are going to Kruger soon. Yeah, too.
I think you're right. Yeah, and I agree, Julian. I think I would say your basic is 3 nights for people who are interested in safari. If you're looking for any type of specialist activity, be it birding, photographic hides, etc., I would honestly recommend combining different properties and doing it for longer.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think we are not seeing any more questions coming in. Yeah. So are there any last minute questions that we can take before we end this session? Yeah. Okay. Today, I think that we have a very targeted subject to talk about, and we are just coming up to the hour and to start a good week ahead once again. This is a Monday, and I hope that everyone will have a great week ahead. Yeah, and don't forget that next Monday we are coming back again on the 10th of August, and we are going to talk about self-driving. So if you have been wondering about self-driving in South Africa, do come back to join us, and we will also be sharing a bit about the attractions that you can see along the way. Yeah. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for participating today, for coming by. Thank you so much. Hope that you have a great week ahead, and thank you once again, Nikki, too, for your sharing. And always looking forward to more. And so as Ming said, do join us more frequently. We have the raffle draw coming up in August or early September. Yeah, so please come for that, and then we'll bring you on the virtual safari. Okay. Yeah. So with it, thank you everyone, and see you. Okay. And if you have any questions, you know where to reach us, right? Our Facebook, our YouTube. Yeah. So just like and share, and also you can send us questions over there. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, and I'll see you guys. Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you, Bob, for coming. Thank you, Brenda. Yeah.